All right, welcome back once again to the A Little Bit More podcast with Pastor Kevin. I'm your host, Lee, and yes, we are wearing the same clothes because movie magic, we did film these on the same day, just behind the scenes. I don't wear this every Monday of my life. But last week, we got to hear in the podcast the extended version of two of our testimonies from the service on the 28th of December. And this morning, we're going to hear from two others.
Yep. And so we're going to hear from the Harrises and also the Hardings. And as you listen to the Harris story, there may be a little bit of jump in the context. You're also going to hear most of the story of Cooper, their son, but also Jillian had some medical complications as well. And just the beautiful piece of, once again, them placing their faith in God's faithfulness, but also reaching out to the church for prayer, letting the church walk alongside the bride of Christ to walk them through some of the darkest parts of their life. So we'd love for you to check out this story and also hear how the Lord has transformed the Harding's life, not just for this generation, but the next, and also now into their grandkids. It's a beautiful story. Take a look. So I'm sitting here with Erik and Candice Harris, and maybe you guys have seen you guys go to second service, and just as we were talking before we hit record, that life was normal, and then it just wasn't, right? And so I kind of want you guys to tell that story and to see how God's faithfulness played out, and where did that strength come from? And so let's just kind of play back the story all the way. And you were about to say something about Grable Mish. What, before we hit record, what were you going to say?
Yeah, so we didn't start coming to Grable Missionary until 2020, but Erik's mom passed shortly after that, and that's when we really needed a church family to come around us. They weren't really believer. They were raised Catholic, but they didn't have a church, her and her husband. And then Scott did the service. He did a wonderful job at the service. He really supported the widow so well. And now he is here in church. We see him regularly on Sundays, having connection and fellowship. And that was the first way that Grable really impacted our faith.
Yeah, it made us feel part of the congregation. Like we knew people, we just didn't engage a whole lot of people at that time. So
that's wonderful.
It was Scott and Christian and everybody on staff just did a great job with everything.
Good.
So thanks a lot.
Yeah, that was a couple years ago, and then just recently in the last couple years. Yeah.
Cooper was 2 years ago.
Yeah, on Thanksgiving. He started getting sick the day before, and it was just a fever, just like a viral thing, no big deal. Kept him home. He stayed in bed. Then he started coughing up blood, and really, just as a nurse, you're lucky you take your kids to the doctor.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah, my wife's a nurse, and she just goes, "You're fine.
They're fine.
And your arm's not falling off. You're
we had that conversation because I was like, we should go to the hospital.
Yeah.
No, I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah, no, we're not there yet.
Yeah. Well, then they all went off to Thanksgiving dinners, the rest of the family, and Cooper and I stayed home. And then it just, things went the other direction. And we went to Lutheran Hospital, where he had CT scans and everything, came out. He went into the CT scan fine and came out, and they had him on oxygen, high flow oxygen, just everybody rushing around him.
Pale as a ghost, looked like he was not going to make it.
Yeah. And how old is your son at this time?
He's 17 at that time.
Okay.
Healthy, just finished a wonderful soccer season.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with him. And so, then from that point on, they got the results from the CT scan. He had some blood clots in his lungs. He had upper lobe pneumonia, and they didn't feel like they could support him very well at Lutheran. They called around to Parkview, and they didn't have intensivists that could support him either. So by 5 o'clock that evening, we were on our way to Riley.
Yeah, the airlift in Riley. So she took off in the helicopter.
So
she got to fly with him.
And you're trying to get there as fast as you can.
Yes, got there pretty fast.
Yeah. So what's going through Dad's mind?
So obviously I'm not there. I get there, and we're just trying to process everything. And through all this, we did have faith in God. Like, we put our faith in God. We prayed for Cooper's safety, for his protection, for the doctor's hands, and that's what we can lean on. I don't know how people that don't have faith can do it. Like, I don't know what we would have done without faith and without our friends.
Yeah.
We're texting our prayer warriors saying, we need help now.
Yep.
And sure, they showed up. They responded. I mean, that part was great, and she takes off, and I haul down to Indy, catch up to him an hour later. I don't know.
Yeah. Record time.
Yeah.
So as soon as we get greeted off of the helipad, the first thing the intensivist says to me is that we might need to intubate your son.
Which,
so,
and you're and the nurse brain's going, right?
Yeah.
Well, and going back to my mom, before she passed, she was intubated for 22 days.
Okay.
And we saw that as a family. And
sure,
if you haven't seen it, it's not something you want to go through. It is not pleasant.
Yeah.
So first prayer.
So you have a picture in your brain what that's going to look like.
Well, and 5 hours before that, we were talking to Coop, and he was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't fine, but he was alive. He was awake.
This is cold. This is pneumonia. This is,
right.
Very treatable. Not a big deal, right?
So that was our first prayer. Yeah. Please do not intubate. I mean, so luckily they didn't have to. Like, it was, that first night was touch and go. That Riley doctor was pacing back and forth, in and out. Just it's not a good feeling when the doctor doesn't leave your room.
Sure. Yeah.
He then went through an hour-long echocardiogram, and they told us that his heart was healthy, that we didn't need to worry about that part of things. However, his organs were starting to shut down.
Okay.
Yeah, so medications, they started antibiotics already at that point, and then my nurse's brain, I'm thinking, okay, 24 hours, we can make this through 24 hours. That's when those antibiotics will start working and we'll start seeing improvement. And that didn't happen. He had fevers, rigors all through the night. They couldn't give him ibuprofen. Only thing they could give him was Tylenol because they have all of the organ concerns. And so, that first 2 nights, I think we
didn't sleep.
We didn't sleep.
It was. I don't have a nurse's brain, so I'm just sitting there, and I can see on her face, this is not good.
It's not good. Yeah.
So, shoot the text out again to Scott and Christian and a couple other people on staff and our friends, and we started praying.
Right. Yeah.
At that point, it's in God's hands. Like, we trust the doctors, but we still know God has a plan for all of our kids, for us.
Yeah.
And we trust it as hard as it can be. It's just how it is.
Yeah. So then what happened?
So then they changed antibiotics, and within, I would say, 12 hours, Cooper was coming off of the high flow oxygen. He wasn't having to be wrapped in ice anymore. He was more awake. He had lost probably 10 pounds in a matter of a couple of days.
I think he was in rough shape for like 3 days.
Okay.
Touch and go for 3 days.
Yeah.
Hadn't eaten anything, just IV fluids. So it was just a little bit of a rehab, but getting him up to the bathroom, he didn't have any kind of privacy at that point. And so as a teenage boy, having mom help you or right. So but through all of it, I have to say, like, even though it was scary, even though we weren't getting sleep, we had peace. We knew that whatever it was, the outcome was going to be, it was going to be for God's glory, and that
whether we want to accept it or not.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say, but there's just a certain peace you have with it, and until you experience it, I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just.
So throughout the story, where did you begin to see God's faithfulness? Even looking back, because I'm sure there's still probably those moments that things play back through your head, and how do you begin to root yourself into His faithfulness throughout it?
I think every prayer that we prayed at some point was answered. Like, first off, you just don't get to go to Riley in a helicopter. Like, they have to approve you, make sure the staff is there, get a like it's a process just to get there. So the first step was get him somewhere that we can get to close, because the other options were 4 or 5 hours away.
Sure.
So I mean, that was the first one. Just God answering our prayers, not in the time that we maybe thought He should.
Yeah.
But they were there.
Yeah.
It's not God's timing is in His time, not in our time.
Right. Yeah.
So.
And then there were just little God winks.
Mm-hmm.
There were like the nurses.
My mom's name was Nancy, our first nurse, Nancy. Second night, the nurse, I'm like, you look familiar. And she's like, we're looking. Dated my cousin's son. And it's just like all these little people and Dr. Joey. Just call me Dr. Joey. Like just a good old dude who took care of our son and us.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever been to Riley, but, well, you have been to Riley. But.
Yes. Yeah. So those who don't know, I had childhood leukemia, and we were talking about this before we started, is life was fine and then it wasn't, right? And that was kind of your guys' experience when you went to Riley. Mm-hmm. But so, when you were at Riley, what were you going to say?
They just envelop you with all of the care that you can think of. Like they're thinking of things before you even need it.
Right. Yeah.
And they have a whole team of people that meet outside your door every morning, that go through your case, lab draws, what the progress has been throughout the night, the vital sign, like everything. And they let you sit out there and listen to them and talk with them and ask them questions. And
be part of your plan. What is the treatment plan? And by team, it's 8 to 12 people. It's not just a doctor saying hello.
Mm-hmm. And they could have had us discharge a day earlier than what we ended up discharging, but they wanted to make sure that we felt comfortable staying, being able to go home, since we were going to be 2 hours away. And then just all the encouragement that we got from the church staff, from our friends
and family,
people encouraging us, just the text messages, the phone calls, the baskets that came that you didn't even know you needed. Like when you fly to Riley, you don't have anything with you.
Sure.
Like, I had no toothbrush, I had no clothes, I had nothing. And people stopped by, and luckily he has family in Indy that brought us things as well.
And even our friends that took care of Jillian, our younger one, went and did something with her, because our other 2 kids, we left at home.
Yeah.
Jillian was
14.
And Owen's 18, and we left.
Yeah.
Like, we were gone.
Yeah.
And friends just stepped up and made sure that they had what they needed and got their mind off of it, took them to do stuff as well. So that was super nice.
So I'd love to hear a little bit about how God has strengthened your guys' family through this. But also I'd love to hear what you would tell another family who is maybe going through a similar situation right now. So maybe it's a long-term thing where they don't know what the results are going to be. We oftentimes talk about around here about God owns all things, and He even owns our kids, right? He's the one that created them, and sometimes it's really hard to let those things go. And so how has God strengthened you through this experience? But also, what would you tell someone who is maybe going through a very similar experience?
You want to go first?
I think some of the things that you said this last week in church about just the fruit of the Spirit doesn't just happen overnight. It develops through fire, through tough times, through perseverance. And I think that's what we found was, through all of the struggles, because we haven't even hit the top of all of the things that we've been through over the last 4 years, but being in God's word and in community and fellowship, and just continuing to do those things, even when you don't feel like you have the time, or you don't feel like you have the space in life, or just it's that marinating in His presence that prepares you for things that are going to happen in your life that you had no idea were coming your way. And so, yeah, I think
because the valleys will come, right? And so
Absolutely.
yeah, making sure that we're filling up on him and his faithfulness, because it will come. It's not that if it will come, it will come. Yeah.
You know,
That's good.
our lives are filled with highs and lows. I think as a family, I think like any family, we fight. I mean, sorry if you never knew that.
Yeah.
I mean, but
so you're normal. Yeah.
I mean, but I think all of our kids and us like realize that it's not what we're fighting about is not that important. Like I think I try and value family time a little more, especially with our children, just because we know that their time is limited as kids. Like we want them to grow and be adults and have their own families. So invest in them as much as we can while they're still in our presence.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we saw God work in that scenario as well, because it was so, the way that developed, it wasn't like Cooper's illness where, it was fine 1 minute and then it wasn't. It was just this slow trickle.
Jillian's was a long, drawn out months of
It was just like these
issues.
insidious symptoms of things that were happening, and we couldn't put any rhyme or reason to it. We took her to the ER. She got a blood transfusion. They told us it was one thing, but in my heart, I knew it wasn't that.
And you had just experienced this with Cooper, so you're like, well,
Right.
Right.
So then you just keep searching and for the right person to listen to you.
Yeah, and fighting for your kids. I mean, we took no for an answer. Like, we're not taking no for an answer.
Yeah.
It's just like, we don't like that answer. What else do you have?
Yeah.
So our family doctor, though, or her pediatrician, finally, was able to put enough of the pieces together to get us a scan. And then within 24 hours of that scan, we had her in the OR. Like, I think she was in the OR by 11 o'clock the next day. And we knew what the problem was. We found the solution, and now we just had to work through.
Yeah, and even before that, like our friends, Candice, being a nurse, has a lot of medical friends, and I took her to get the scan, and we had went to the horse barn to do some stuff, and I get a phone call saying, the doctor wants to call you later. And I'm like, we have had scans for the last 4 months, and you guys, I'm always calling you. What is? So I'm freaking out, and I call her. So she gets on my chart or whatever the heck we have. I don't know.
Yeah.
And she has so she gathers all her little doctor friends, and they're looking at it and making phone calls to other little doctor guys. And it's just, it just was woven. So it worked. I mean, and a friend called a friend who called a surgeon and said, they said they'd call you on Tuesday morning. And she called and said, come to the hospital now. You're going to have surgery in 2 hours. And we're like, oh. So away we went. We got to pack that time, though.
Yeah.
That was nice. So Jillian had her surgery. She was in there. We were in there for, it seemed like forever, I think. Tuesday to Tuesday, I believe. Right?
No, we left on Monday.
Oh.
Anyway. But again, got to see God's hands and all of that again, because
once again, first thing we do is pick up the phone, and we're texting. And I think I texted you. You're in Florida.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, it's
trying
good.
to enjoy the beach.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
No problems at home. But
I can pray in Florida too.
No, right. Yeah. And if you've never experienced, like, for me, like, just knowing that people are praying for your family, like, gives me a peace.
Yeah.
Because I am a fixer. I want to fix everything now.
Yeah.
And you can't with this. So just getting the prayer warriors going, the church came and visited, prayed with us, and it gives you a sense of peace. It calms you.
Yeah. And so how do you guys continue to rest in who God is? And so you've had 2 kids with pretty big, significant things. How do you keep coming back to resting in him, not going back to anxiety and worry? Because even as a parent, if that's happened to me twice within a couple of years, like there has to be some worry and anxiety. How do you continue to be rooted back in who he is and to rest in that freedom?
Well, I mean, he's shown us faithfulness so far.
Yeah.
Like we trust in
His
it.
track record's pretty
I
good.
mean, yeah, he's
Yeah.
doing 100% for us, and
Yeah.
we're grateful for that. I mean, we pray for our kids. I mean, I pray daily for them. I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
I mean,
But also teaching them as well. Like they're going to be what I can present to God in the end of my life, and making sure that they understand the importance of being in God continually, praying, being in His Word, being around godly people, you know. And we've seen that through our children too. Our oldest son, I know we didn't get to talk about him. He's been pretty healthy.
yeah. So
But
he keeps saying he's next, but we're not hoping not.
But you know, you want what's best for them. You want them to take their this faith that you have as a parent, and make it their own.
Yeah.
And that's what we've seen in our oldest one, and we're seeing that cultivated in Cooper as well. Jillian, you know, she's got a fire kind of spirit. She just into everything and loves everything. And so, but yeah, that's what we want for them, is for them to see us continue in our faithfulness, so that they see the kind of pattern that it takes to be reliant on God and to so yeah. But there's also been there's special families here at Grable too. And I don't know if you know that, but several families have a special place in my heart for how they've cared for our children and how they've loved our children. You know, with the kind of unshakable love that only comes from the Father. So there's just this community is amazing.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank you guys so much for sharing your story, and thank you for being willing to jump into the community. Part of it is just the willingness to trust a community that they will pray for you when they say that they will, and they are serving the same God of the universe who has all of this in His hands. So we give it to Him, right? It's His faithfulness that we put our faith in and our trust in. And so thank you guys so much for sharing.
Yeah, God's hand isn't always a booming voice or an instant healing. More often, it's steady an undercurrent. The yes is hidden in the not yet. Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. We cannot bypass around suffering, but the promise through it. It's equipped us to hold space for joy and grief, to parent with prophetic hope, and to testify that no trial writes the final word. And I think that holds that in my heart. You know,
That's your story. That's where it's rooted.
You know, God's faithfulness. Like, God is going to get us through the trials. They might not be what we wanted, but He'll get us through it one way or the other. Not how we see, but how He sees.
Well, I'm sitting down with John and Connie Harding, and you guys may have seen them in the hallways. They're some of our deacons or deaconess, and you guys do a lot of different cases together. And every time I see you guys, shake your hand, give you a hug, there's always a smile on your face.
Oh, thank you.
But there's been a different part of your story that some people may not know. So I'd love to hear about how God has transformed you, and where have you seen His faithfulness throughout your guys' story?
I'll go ahead and start. God's faithfulness has been such a huge part of my life, and we have been Christians for a long time, but there was this point in my life where I felt that there was a void, and so my social drinking started to become more of a habit, more on a daily basis, and it got out of control. I thought I was in control, but I was out of control. And at one point, my dad, who I highly respect, he raised me and my sister. My dad was approached by John. John, I did not know that. John had told my dad that my drinking was hurting the family, was not a positive thing. And so my dad came over, I think the next day, and told me that I was doing the same thing to my kids who were 12 and 14 as my mom did when I was 13 and my sister was 10. Mom left. And so that really shook me and made me look at this closely. I had tried to quit before. Sure. I always thought I could, but I couldn't. And so my father was such a great, strong person. As I was growing up, I see Jesus's faithfulness there. And then, because Dad was always by our side. And then this opportunity to where Dad and John brought this to my attention and opened my eyes. And it reminds me of a picture of Jesus stretching out his hand. And it's always been there, but I was always had it under control. But at this time, I grabbed it, and he yanked me out of the alcohol dependency and provided me with structure. And I am now 16 years alcohol free.
Wow.
And
Amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah, wow. I just never thought I would stop at that point.
Wow. So Deuteronomy 11, as we're talking about this morning, it talks about beginning to share with the next generation of God's faithfulness. And so now you have 2 adult children, you have grandkids. Your grandkids don't remember that. They weren't alive during that time. Right. And so what would you want to tell your grandkids about God's faithfulness? Because we're to be reminded and to remind the next generation of what God has done.
Similar to a testimony that was given here at Grable Missionary Church, which encouraged me to come forth with this, keep your focus on the Lord, because if you become distracted by other things, the space between you and the Lord become further, very easily, further away. And before you know it, you are in trouble, deep, and just keep Jesus in the forefront. What would you say?
Yeah, I would say don't be afraid of coming forward with an issue or a problem either, because God's there. He's already forgiven us. We don't have to beg him for forgiveness. You just need to lay it and hand it to him. To take our burden. He can handle our burdens.
Yeah, it's the surrender piece. We talk about it all the time. It's just the deep surrender. And maybe it's the same advice or maybe the same thing you would tell people, but there may be people listening to this that are just, they feel like they're too far into addiction. What would you tell someone that is maybe in similar shoes that you were in 16 years ago? What would you tell someone from GMC?
Reach out to someone, whether it's pastoral staff or we have AA here on Monday nights. You can contact myself. There's so many resources that can help. And the Bible, just pray, ask for help, guidance, and don't be afraid, because none of us are perfect. And I feel like that's part of our purpose, is to be the hands and feet of Jesus. And when we're in deacon cases and people say they're dependent on drugs or alcohol and they're too far gone to come to church, and I tell them, this is a come as you are church, and I tell them my story. I was addicted to alcohol, and then sometimes they'll say something like, well, my kids don't have any parents. I'm like, or I don't have a dad. And I'll say, well, I was raised by a single parent, my father. So I try to connect with people that way, to be encouraging, provide hope through Jesus. And so, and I tell you, there's nothing like the freedom, the broken chains.
where would the biggest restoration piece kind of lie for your guys' marriage as you guys kind of went through the healing process of that? Where did you see the biggest breakthroughs or the biggest praises? Like what did that process kind of look like for you guys as you begin to sober up and move towards that direction? What did that look like for your marriage? What did that look like for your faith and your kids? And it sounds like your dad was a part of that process too. So what did that restoration piece look like?
I think it definitely for sure drew us closer together as a family and closer to our church, closer to God. And it did the same for our kids. Renee was pretty young during this time, but Leah was old enough to
12.
kind of see and understand what was going on. But I think it really drew us closer to one another and to church and to God. And it's been pretty amazing.
The way I describe it is we became a team. We're on the same page.
Yeah.
And we're not saying we're perfect or expect perfection from our kids or anything.
Yeah.
But we can work through it.
And I love that you used we. Oftentimes when I'm working with couples, if I hear a lot of I language, I'll go back and go, it's a we, it's an us, it's a team. I love that you said that. So about 15 years ago, and I remember this, I was in the service, you guys did these cardboard testimonies. So can you just tell them a little bit about it? And you even told us that you kind of have it in a special place. So can you tell the story about behind the cardboard testimony?
Okay. It was in 2010 that we were asked to do this. And I wanted to, again, say that the encouragement came from a Grable Missionary Church member who did his testimony. And so anyway, it talked about passing on down to generations. So as part of our cardboard testimony, I was holding this, and it reads, abused alcohol to numb the, it says abused alcohol to numb feelings and stress that I was feeling. Leah, John, and Renee were holding this one.
Right. Prayed for Mom to stop.
Then, through the Lord's faithfulness, at the time, I was almost 1 year sober. It was my 50th week. And now it's 16 years.
Wow.
Right.
That's incredible. And you said you keep these in a special place. What's the story behind that?
These mean so much to me and remind me of the Lord's faithfulness. It's not that he wasn't there during my drinking, and at one time I chose him. He's always been there. It was that time that I reached out and grabbed his hand and took his help.
Yeah. Scripture calls them Ebenezer's, right? We got to put these reminders in place to remember God's faithfulness. It's, like you said, it's not that he's not faithful. We have to remember and put our faith in his faithfulness. And so putting those reminders in our lives so we don't go back into slavery, go back into sin. A couple series ago, we talked about in Galatians that Paul's saying, don't go back into slavery. You are free in Christ. And so these are reminders that you are free in him, and that's all that you need. Praise God for your guys' story and the way that God has moved in you and through you. And now, 2 generations out, your grandkids get to see not only the transformation, but the surrender in your guys' life and how you've surrendered to Jesus. And so thank you guys so much for sharing and just being an encouragement to GMC.